Even when I started off this morning, I only let it idle for a few seconds.
That's Don Cornock, a driving instructor, and today he's taking us for a drive to give us some tips on how to save fuel. The price of gasoline shot up in the spring, and it would seem the cost of filling your tank is here to stay. While there are many different ways to cut your fuel costs, such as turning off the AC and properly inflating your tires, in this segment we will focus on how simply driving a certain way can save you money.
You don't want to do what generally people call jackrabbit starts. You want to just ease into it and gradually build your speed up.
One of the best ways to save gas, especially with an automatic, is to look ahead, especially at the traffic lights, and coast when it appears you're going to have to stop anyway.
I've come up fairly slowly behind this truck. I've got a red light anyway, so there's no sense in rushing up and jamming on the brakes. We've got a red light up here, so right now I've already started to slow down.
Take your foot off the brake.
My foot is off the gas right now. I'm just coasting. And now I can start to accelerate again because that light has just turned green. If it's what's called a stale green light, in other words, it's been green for quite some time, then you should be thinking ahead that perhaps by the time I get there, it's going to have changed to red, in which case then you should be relaxing your foot on the accelerator.
Keeping those RPMs down is the key. The higher the number, the more fuel you burn. Avoid excessive braking. Again, anticipate what the drivers in front of you are doing.
So what are your RPMs at? About 1,800?
Yes, about 1,800. I'm sitting right on 70 at the moment.
Is that sort of an optimal range, I guess, for an automatic?
Is. Yeah, oh sure.
On the highway, cruise control can help, except for hills, and use overdrive gears if you have them. And remember, speeding wastes fuel.
Years ago, there was a campaign out that suggested that the ultimate highway speed was 90 kilometers or 55 miles an hour, and after that, you end up burning more gas.
Reducing weight in the vehicle helps. Get rid of the junk in the trunk and take off the roof rack if you're not using it. This also applies to the fuel itself, which is heavy.
Well, that's one thing they're advocating I found online there, was that to drive to your tanks nearly empty. But we don't always recommend that in the Okanagan, do we, because of the fuel pump issues?
That's right. You can dry out the fuel pump quite easily, and then it ceases up, of course. Yeah. So the best thing is to maintain about a quarter of a tank.
A few other tips? Idling for 1 minute consumes the same amount of fuel as starting the engine, so turn it off if you're waiting longer. Idling, by the way, gets 0 miles to the gallon. Don't overfill the tank. Stop when it clicks. Don't rev your engine before turning it off. Accelerate before the hill, not on it. Avoid resting your left foot on the pedals. It wears down components and wastes fuel. Keep your lane changes to a minimum. If you drive a stick, which are usually more fuel efficient anyway, shift up early and down late, and by the feel of the car, not the RPMs. But avoid lugging in the wrong gear, downshift. And when parking, put your car in a position to go forward. Reverse gear maneuvers also use more gas. We don't advocate what hypermilers do, such as drafting behind a semi or putting it in neutral down a hill. That's dangerous. While driving schools preach safety first, drivers like Don find safe driving is also fuel-efficient driving.
I usually tell the students that even after 40 some odd years of driving, I still get kind of a kick out of trying to be able to anticipate that light and not have to brake at all.
Now, are you doing that for safety reasons, or are you doing it to save gas, or why do you do that?
Well, yes, for both reasons, for that matter. Yeah, there's no point in rushing up to the lights anyway.
If it's red.
It's not. Yeah, if it's red, it's not going to change any faster.
Yeah. And there's always a lag time between all those cars in front of you to get going again.
Exactly. Yes.